Hello everyone, I'm back with another of these little craft with me tutorials following the Crafty Cat 50 stack challenge prompts. This is number 5, which is going to be fabric and sort of inspired by Tracy Fox's December Daily last year. This was based on her day 5 and it's a trifold. Quite a lot going on with this one. So that's what we're going to recreate, but in a different form. And this is the one I've made to share with you. This is the fabric, obviously. And then we've got the inside on one side and this on the other. So that's how it opens. It's the back. So this little trifold obviously going to take a little bit longer than some of the others. We go from slightly more complicated to simple with these. So let's get started. And we will start with a piece of paper that measures, I've had to write this one down, 10.5 by 6.5. So that's 10.5 by 6.5. And I've used a piece of book page, but any paper will do. Maybe I should make 2 at the time, and we can do 2 at the same time. So I might think about that. So we're going to score at 3.5. And 7. And then we're just going to fold it into a trifold. So, and if you scored straight, it should all line up beautifully. And you can do it whichever way round you like. It sometimes feels as if it should be that way round, but I don't know. When you're using it, I like it to open this way. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then we're going to do the front piece first, which is the fabric. So I want you to tear, I've got a little piece of canvas here and I've torn it at approximately 3.25 by 6.25. So it does more or less cover the whole, with the frayed bit, it covers the whole of that. And then I have my front image somewhere here. I've cut this floral image, this poppy, and that measures 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. And the first thing I'm going to do is stitch this on to the fabric. I'm going to tack it down with a little bit of glue stick so that it doesn't move too much. So that's like that, and then I'm going to zigzag round this edge. And then what I'm going to do after I've done that is glue it onto this front page, and I'm going to use Fabri-Tac glue to do that. I think PVA would work. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. So I'm going to zigzag round this paper edge here and then glue the whole thing once I've stitched it onto there, and then I'll be back. Right, so it occurred to me you might want to see me glue this. So this is my Fabri-Tac. It's getting a little bit gloopy. Those of you that use Fabri-Tac will understand. Sorry, oh dear. Slightly, I haven't got a cold or anything. I don't know where that came from, that sneeze. So I'm gluing or putting the Fabri-Tac around the edges of my fabric over the stitching just to give me a guideline. I need to get some, you can buy acetate from the chemist, from the pharmacy, and that would loosen this glue up a little bit. If I put a little bit of acetate in with it, but I haven't got any at the moment. So if you just want to skip on, please do. I'm not going to put masses of glue on this, but I do want it to be firmly stuck down. Upside down. And we're sticking this onto the front piece. So that's our first step. I think I've got allergies this morning. And now we're going to do these 2 inside pages like this. So for the first one, which is this side, we need a strip of paper 2 inches by 6.5. And I'm using a botanical image, and I want this edge to be torn. So I've actually done it slightly. It is a little bit bigger, fractionally than 2 inches. And I'm just going to take off a little smidgen down the side here. Before I glue that down, I'm going to straight stitch round this edge, and then that will glue onto there. And for this side, I have a piece of masking paper, tea-dyed paper. Anything would work for this. This is just so that it can be used as a journal spot. And again, I'm going to straight stitch round the edge before I glue it down, and I probably do the same as I did here and stamp an image on. This is a Mackie Stamps image, just to add some interest. This is quite botanical based, as you can see. So 2 by 6.5 torn edge, stitch round with straight stitch, and the same here, and we'll stamp something. Okay, so before I glue these down, I'm going to stamp. I've got this ready, so I'm not in a good position. But this is my stamp, Mackie stamp, as I said. M-A-K-I, if you want to look that up. And I'm just going to stamp that in this bottom corner. And I will use archival ink for this. So I put my stamp on the block. It is getting a little bit dry. The thing with stamping is not to lift it off too quickly. It needs a little bit of time to soak into the paper. This is a really good quality stamp, so I think the image should be fine. Here we go. So that's going to be glued onto that side, and this is going to be glued as a pocket. So for this one, going to go around the 3 edges. Glue that to the edge of there. And this one should, although this paper's thin, this glue is pretty good, and I don't think it'll crumple this paper too much. Sometimes wet glue wrinkles your paper. This is a good quality PVA, it's not too watery. And I just do the edges, just go around the edges. should dry perfectly. So the next thing we do is make a little journal card for inside this pocket. I'm using a Beatrix Potter image, or I did in this one, and that's cut to 3 by 5.5. So I've got this one, bits of cotton. So we'll cut this down. Got a little tonic guillotine here. 3 I said, I think, didn't I? 3 by 5.5. So that's about the size of that page. So that's fine. So that's going to fit in there quite nicely. I'm going to mount this on some plain card. I'm going to glue it to some plain card. I'll probably use glue stick for this one. I'm just piling everything up to the side of me. I have to do a big clear up after this. Okay, cut that out. The bottom is slightly off, so I'm just... And then to finish this off, I sometimes like to round the corners with these things, so I've got a little corner rounder just to... And I'm going to put a tab top in it. Let's put that back in my glue. So again, I'm just looking for the centre, or the approximate centre. About there. And this is a little slot punch. So that's that. And then to finish that off, I'm just going to stitch around. Once that glue is dry, I'm going to stitch around the edge, and I will put a label at the bottom, Tracy Fox label at the bottom. So I'm going to go away and do that, and then we'll carry on a bit more. So we're back again. I'm not sure if I told you how big this was. This paper, it was 3 1/4 by 6 1/4, and there's our little finished journal card. The glue was a bit damp when I did that top punch, which isn't ideal. So now on to the back page here, which is this one. And I've got just a scrap of paper which measures approximately 2.5 by 3.5. I've torn the top, I've zigzagged across there, and then straight stitched round, and I've stuck a label on, and that's going to be glued onto the back there. Using this white glue that I like, which is Cosmic Shimmer. It's similar to the Artist Glitter Glue, but just gives you a little bit more what I would call wiggle time. And it looks to me as if I've cut that slightly big. Oops. Can always adjust that later. So yeah, it's just slightly big down there. I'm getting glue everywhere now. that's our pocket, and for that pocket I've got a little tag. Now I'm using a piece out of one of these cigarette card albums, but obviously you can use anything to make a tag, and this measures 2.5 by 5, and I've just torn a scrap of the canvas that was on the front and stitched, sort of stitched that across the top, so that fits in there. So that's quite straightforward, I think. And then our back 2 pages look like this. So the first one is vellum, and I've cut my vellum square to about 3 3/4 by 7, and I'm going to tear it down. Sort of aiming to tear off a bit over 1/4 inch on each edge. But once I've done the first 2, I'll just sit that on there and check how much we need off the bottom, because I don't want it to go right to the very edge, so it needs to be around here. And then the same on this side, although it's probably easier to do it this way. So you can see, so I'm just bringing that in from the crease line a little bit, and I'm going to go down about 1/4 inch down here. That should be fine. Take that smidgen off there. And again, I'm going to stitch round, and then I'll come back and glue that down and show you how I did the last page. To decorate this, once it's stitched, I've got a die cut. This is from a Tim Holtz set of dies. It's this one, 664163, and it's just the long, slim one. Don't have to decorate it, or you can obviously use any die cut. So let me go and do this stitching and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is my stitched piece. I'm just going to flatten the back slightly, and I'm going to glue this on here. Again, I'm only going to glue the edges, and I'm pretty much going to stick to trying to get it on the stitch as much as I can. It will spread over a bit. This glue dries very clear, so I think you won't see a lot of extra glue, although that came out a bit quick there. So that sits on there. And obviously you can write on vellum with gel pens, etc. And then this one, get gluey on this. I've got some fine tip, I did have some fine tip bottles, but they've all got clogged up, but I've just ordered some more, those really fine tip ones that I can decant a bit of glue into. But I think we'll get away with that. And that's just going up that outside edge. So as I say, when that dries, that should dry clear. And then we're already on to this last page, and for this one I used a computer card. It was exactly the right size. So what you need, if you haven't got one of these, is a piece of maybe patterned scrapbook paper or something like that, 3 1/4 by just under 7 1/2 there. And I'm going to turn this up 1 1/4 inches. She says, where's my thing gone? So it's just over, so just about here. That's 6 1/4 or 6 1/8. I think I've done that. So we're making a pocket at the bottom. But I would like my pocket to be a bit deeper than that, and I would also like it decorative. So I've also cut a scrap of paper which is 3 1/4 by 3, 3 1/4 by 3, and then I've folded it in half and I've torn these two edges together, and I'm going to sit that over there. So I'm sandwiching that between those to get my pocket basically however deep I want it, something like that. Let's go up a little bit. So I'm just going to use glue stick just to hold that in place. Hopefully it'll be level. And then the other side, just to hold it not all over, because we're going to stitch again. So the first thing I'm going to do is stitch along here with it open with a zigzag, and then I'm going to close that and I'm going to stitch all the way around with straight stitch so that we get a pocketed card like so. So keep this open, zigzag along there, close the pocket up and stitch all the way around with straight stitch, and then I'll be back. So I've effectively made what I call a floating pocket, which I'm going to glue down. On the original I glued the whole thing down, but it's just occurred to me that you could leave this side open for yet another little pocket, so I think I'm going to do that on this one. Not sure what I'm going to put in it, but so obviously I haven't thought that far ahead. So that gets glued in there on 3 sides this time. I wanted these projects to be functional in junk journal terms, really. I mean, this would be quite fat to put in a junk journal, but it might make a nice piece to go with a junk journal. And I will pop something in here, so I might come back with that, or I might not. But anyway, this is the finished. This is a pocket. I probably should have stitched across the top there as well, but you know, I forgot. So that's our little booklet. Some what have I got? Seam binding that I can tie it up with. You could use a belly band. You could make a belly band to go around there just to hold it all together. That might be quite nice. And that's my project basically, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.